Oke, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello guys, welcome back to our agenda. There are we can take part. So this time we have a speaker. The name is Izidin Amar Al Farisi, and Amar will bring the theme under the title Blender's History. Okay, maybe Amar, you can start your presentation right now about explaining Blender's story.
Okay, thank you, Arka, for your intro. Hello, maybe I will introduce myself first. My name is Izudin Omar Al Farisi. Today, I just want um, to teach you just a little about Blender history. But if it anytime, I will learn you to Blender object. So I will share your screen. Wait. Mm, okay. Blender story. First, Blender was created by Ton Rosendal, the art director and self-taught software development. Attractive to all things physical and creative, Rosendal began a degree in industrial design but dropped out in order to start his own 3D animation studio, NeoGeo. In 1989, the video game console of the same name appeared a year later, intently based in Rosendal's ethic. NeoGeo grew rapidly, garnering awards and becoming the biggest company of its type in the Netherlands. Neo Geo is a family of video game. For your information, Neo Geo is a family of video game hardware that was developed by SNK on the market from 1990 to 2024. The brand originated with a release of an arcade system, the Neo Geo Multi-Video System (MVS), and its home console counterpart, the Neo Geo Advanced Entertainment System (AAS). Rosendal wrote the first source file titled Blender on the 2nd of January 1994, still considered Blender's official birthday. Originally, Blender was planned as an house application for Neo Geo. It grew from a series of exciting tools, including a ray tracer built for the Amiga. This early version of Blender was intended to address perennial frustration among creatives. When a difficult silent client requests multiple changes to a project, how do you implement those changes painlessly? Thanks to its a high configurable approach, Blender aimed at providing an answer. As an aside, the name refers to a song by a Swiss electronic band, Yellow. Rosendal invited his saving in a silicon graphic workstation costing the equivalent of 30,000 US dollar. This computer led to Blender 1.0, launched in January 1995. This first iteration of Blender proper incorporated then innovative ideas, including a single window which could be subdivided as the user saw fit. The silicon, for your information again, the silicon graphic, the stylus as silicon graphic before 1999, later rebranded SGI, historically known known as Silicon Graphic Computer System or SGCS, was an American high-performance computing manufacturer producing computer hardware and software, founded in Mountain View, California in November 1981 by James Clark. Its initial market was 3D graphic computer workstation, but its product strategies and market position development significant over time. At the time, 3D was considered commercially uninteresting. However, Rosendal had fallen in love with that he described as its magical ability to create a world war in a computer. So when Neo Geo closed, he and partner Frank Van Beek founded a new company focused on further developing and marketing Blender. Not a number, NAN opened its door in June 1998, distributing Blender under a freemium pricing strategy. The software was free to download with NAN selling case to unlock more advanced features. Okay, Blender goes open source. Thanks to this business model, NEN was able to fund both at a renowned computer graphic conference in Los Angeles, a special interest group in computer graphic and interactive technical. As a sequence, Blender attracted to rounds of funding totaling some $5.5 million US. Despite this investment, a harsh economic climate, excess spending, and troubled relation between NEN and its investor mean that the company closed in early 22. With NEN's demise, Blender's development costs unable to buy the rights from NEN's backers, Rosendal opted for a novel plan. In May of 2022, he started a non-profit, the Blender Foundation, with the intention of making Blender open source. His hope was a creative a public monument to Blender and give everyone who had worked on the Blender project in the chance to use it for their portfolios in July of the same year. He launched the first ever crowdfunding campaign, Free Blender, thanks to Blender's community of 215 users. The Blender Foundation was able to raise on 110,000 euros in just 7 weeks, so sufficient to regain Blender from its investors. On Sunday, October 13, 2022, Blender was released under the terms of the GNU General Public License, the strictest possible open source content. Not only will Blender be free, but its source code will remain free forever to be used for any purpose whatsoever. The success of Free Blender cleared the way for a style of development that has become Blender's defining strain. While Blender's evolution is partly driven by grant-funded developers and guided by a core team at the Blender Foundation, Amsterdam, its greatest advantage is a global community of decided volunteers. Thanks to their effort, Blender is able to iterate rapidly and respond to to the needs of artists and markers. Just nimbleness and creativity will be much harder within the confines of a traditional business model. GPL, the General Public License, uh, is a set of free software license original written by Richard Stallman for the GNU project. GPL license grant the recipient of copy of the software. The mm, the software the right of free software and use copyleft to ensure the same freedoms are applied to subsequent version of the work. The GNU slightly less public license is another version of the GPL that allows the use of non-free software libraries in free software. Third, Blender marks open movies. Okay, as way to stress test Blender's increasing power, the Blender Foundation challenged its community's most talented artists to make an animation 3D short film. The only creation was a criterion was that they had to use open source tool with Blender Prime among them. Elephant Dream, codenamed Project Orange during production and originally titled Machina, is a 26 duck animated science fiction fantasy experimental short film produced by Blender Foundation using almost exclusively free and open source software. The film is English language and includes subtitles in over 30 languages. Okay, plot at the film, an old man prologue voiced by Taigo Gernand greets the young emo, voiced by Cass Jensen, through through a Gian Sorrel machine in which the rooms have no clear transition to each other after Pro saves Emo from flying plugs in a room consisting of a gigantic telephone switchboard. They run through a dark room filled with electrical cable and flee from a flock of bird-like robots. In the next room, Emo is tempted to answer a ringing phone, but Pro stopped him and reveals a trap. The room is also occupied by a robot resembling a self-operating typewriter, which Emo appears to love it. After the success of Elephant Dream, the Blender Institute was established in the summer of 27, as well as helping to define the Blender Foundation's goals. The Blender Institute comprised a permanent official and studio with the express intention of generated uh, generating open project related to 3D movies, gamers, games of visual effect. As part of its output, the Blender Institute has created a series of open movies in collaboration with leading artists. They including the comedy Big Buck Bunny, science fiction thriller Tears of Steel, a, a poetic fantasy Spring, and horror comedy Sprite Fright. You can look at the thumbnail on the below. Next, Blender landmarks. Each open planet's new demands on Blender as a 3D creation set, which in turn leads to further upgrades, while a complete list of updates is beyond the scope of this article. Some milestones are worth noting. Uh, Early 28 saw the start of the Blender 2.5 project. This combined a major user interface overhaul with new tool definition, a depth access system, handling, and a few animation system for 2.5. The primary goal was to bring the interface standard and input methods up to date. Cycles is Blender's production capable path tracing render engine. First incorporated into release 2.61 back into 2011. Over the years, Cycles has introduced support for a wide range of rendering possibilities, including EMD and NVIDIA. Similarly, it's grown to include support for many features, including hair, motion blur, smoke and fire, major shaders and materials, adapted subdivision, and much more. Cycle is Blender's physically based path tracer for production rendering. It is designed to provide physically based result out of the box with artistic control and flexible shading nodes for production needs to use cycle. So like it's the render engine in the properties with its watershed 2.8 release in July 2019. Blender broke into the 3D mainstream, starting with a drastically revamped user interface. The 2.8 series, including a multitude of innovations, from Eevee, a real-time render engine, to new remeshing option for sculptors, to the interior of mental flow, to a fully function 2D animation workspace that also offered the possibility of a 2D or 3D hybrid workflow. Eevee is Blender's real-time render engine built using OpenGL focused on speed and interfacing while achieving the goal of rendering BPR materials. If it can be used interactively in the 3D viewport, but also producing high quality final render. Also, industry recognition for Blender had grown over the decided 2.8 marked the movement when it was widely accepted as a legitimate alternative to paid competitors, as well as using Blender in their own project. Some of the world's largest and most recognized companies become regular contributors to the Blender Development Fund, ensuring that Blender can continue to innovate. As well as Blender and open project made with Blender, there is Blender Cloud. This subscription based open production platform provides rolling up updates on current open movie projects, as well as an archive of film asset in blend file from animation and shot breakdowns, shader and texturing, and compressive training videos from professional artists and developers. Often these employ at Blender HQ in Amsterdam. 5. Blender's present and future. In total, the Blender of organization numbers some 28 employees working from Amsterdam remote and on a grant basis for Blender. This team represents only a small part of a much wider community, which it defines as everyone who contributes to Blender's development, earns their living from Blender, or simply downloads it. The Blender mission can be summed up as get the world's best 3D technology in the hands of artists as open source and making amazing things with it. Going forward, Blender hopes to become a sustainable for prof, prof organization decided to furthering its open source philosophy, its value of curiosity, curiosity and innovation, uh, commit, commitment to technical excellence, and increasing ambitious creative goal. Maybe just that my Blender history this have done, but yes, I think the time is enough for me, and I will take back to the host.
Okay, thank you, Amar, for the explanation. Maybe after this, I hope we know about Blender's story. Okay, maybe that's all for us. And yeah, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.